someone on this podcast, I'm not going to say which one of us it was. One of us was cautious about that series. But one of them said we should sweep. There's no reason, there's no excuse for the Braves not to sweep. And not going to say which one of us that was, but the other one of us was watching those games and thinking, wow, that overconfidence really cursed us. And I thought we were about to get swept on Wednesday.
Yeah, you'd have to be really silly to expect a sweep, especially considering some of the travel and scheduling bugs, defects around that series. So, yeah, again, one of us did expect a sweep. We're not going to say who. That person is looking very foolish right now. Again, you have to go back to the last episode to find that out. We're not revealing it here, just to protect the
integrity
sanity,
and identity
mental well-being of whoever made that bold claim. But I'm going to be a dumb fan here and mentally justify it. And if the Braves didn't do what they did after, gotta silence my phone. If the Braves didn't do what they did after that series, I'm not making this justification. But and I think we did point this out in the last podcast. The Braves played Sunday Night Baseball the Sunday before the Oakland series, and then had to fly overnight to Oakland, which, if you don't have a map available, is across the country. Maybe I would say the farthest city they could go to besides Seattle. They didn't get in until 5 o'clock local time. So look, we know they have their private jets. We know they have a bunch of, amenities, and they probably could sleep if they wanted to. But again, a plane ride's a plane ride. They don't get in till 5. It's traveling or stressed out. I'm assuming Brian Snicker didn't make the team go on the field around 1 or 2 local time like he probably normally would. Even then, the way I try to put it is imagine working a full week. It's your Thursday, and then you have to fly across the country and then be at the office within 6 hours. It's going to be hard to do your job after that.
Even the best planes too, sleeping on a plane, if you're not a plane sleeper, and you can take countless flights and never be a plane sleeper, but that 7-8 hour flight that you're not sleeping on, and even if you do fall asleep, you get disturbed in your sleep, and then you have to readjust once you get to the hotel.
And even if you're you could be deep in REM, and then your plane lands, and they're like, "Hey, you gotta get up, gotta go check in your hotel." Even and this is not a failure on the travel secretary or anything, just a dumb scheduling mistake. I don't know why they were playing Sunday Night Baseball, even though it was good vibes, as we noted last week. Or I don't know why they didn't just play Tuesday, and then because obviously Arizona,
Players
Oakland
Union
are a lot.
has negotiated a weird thing when it comes to travel schedules, where it's if it's a road to a road game, there's always a day off. So I remember a couple of years ago, the Braves played the Dodgers, and then they played the Padres, and there was a day off in between. But home to road isn't. They don't require a day off.
It's funny, on the day off, they had so much time, they went on a team-wide golfing expedition. So it's you have this, basically you are, rubber to rubber, going across the country. And honestly, I think collectively as a team, they've probably got a total of 16 hours of sleep. So I'm not saying that we couldn't have won that game, but the offense did especially look very jaded, just very they would rather put their head on a pillow than put the bat head on the ball. And so you get that one game, just call it a loss, call it an automatic loss, and they have a 2-game series after that, and they split it. They still split it. Are the Athletics terrible? Yes, but
they
are in a 5. They did just sweep the Brewers, who who are still trying to convince us that they're a good team. I still kind of believe
I
them.
think they were in first place going into that series. I don't know. I think the
They were.
Pirates are now
Yeah.
because they just won 2 out of 3 against the Mets, who the Mets got in really late in the Pirates series, and they got blown out by a team that lost a series to the A's.
Yeah.
So baseball is baseball.
Yeah. It's grueling. It's a 162 game season. It's a grueling schedule.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Michael Soroka, I think, in the Diamondback series, but this series was just forgettable. At the end of the season, when the Braves win the World Series, we're not even going to remember that they lost 2 out of 3 against an Oakland A's team. That's optimistic, but yeah.
Something kind of funny too, and we can move on. I don't want to dwell on the Athletics series too much. I'm just going to leave this one note here. Game 2. This is the game that I still think we should have conceivably won. Bryce Elder, he and Michael Soroka were the only 2 players who flew commercially separate from the team prior to the series. They weren't there Sunday night. They were flying to Oakland. Shoved, I would say, one of probably his best performance of the year. Braves just cannot score a run. It's a cold night. The Coliseum is not a friendly ballpark to any offense, especially an offense that doesn't really take walks and is more feast or famine when it comes to their approach. And then Iglesias comes in, Raiso Iglesias, our closer, our beloved closer, does not get a feel for the ball for the first time in his career, or first time since like 2016, 2017.
He hasn't done this since the Reds.
Walks three straight hitters, and then kind of hard hit ball to Austin Riley. He fumbles it. Game over. The last blow up appearance, I would say by Iglesias since then. I mean, I think was the turning point for his season. I think we're going to look back at that and say that was the lowest point, and now he's basically back to who he was. I mean, he was during the Mets series, he was touching 95, 96 with his fastball, and that's really where we want to see him. So, again, the 2 Braves who actually were able to get a decent night's sleep, I think held up their end of the bargain. Bryce Elder especially. It just weird quirks of the travel schedule. We're not, like you said, we're not going to be thinking about this in October.